We heard about this a little bit yesterday when we were talking to our friends in the Syrian Democratic Council, but Turkey has a very aggressive stance in northern Syria in a way that is, I would argue, very counter to U.S. interests and the greater peace. It has a disproportionate effect on Syria's Christian minority. You alluded to this earlier, Rich. Your organization has been at the forefront of advocating for them. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that and what it means for U.S. policy, and what do you think the challenges are going to be going forward given all these recent events?
Certainly, yeah. Just as Samir so eloquently mentioned earlier, Turkey's greater design, its long-term ambition is regional hegemony, right? Called it the new caliphate. You can call it many things. That's what Turkey seeks to do right now, certainly under the AK party. Part of that design involves northern Syria, as well as northern Iraq, as well as the Caucasus, as well as the Eastern Mediterranean. So it's not local to any particular reason, but it's a 360-degree mission, you might say. Specifically in northeast Syria, what he has been doing, as I mentioned just a moment ago, over the last 6 or so years after the defeat of ISIS, the territorial defeat of ISIS, by the natives on the ground, right? The folks living in northeast Syria, coalition of Kurds, Arabs, Syriacs, who are Christians, who came together to defeat ISIS. Turkey rolls in and essentially reestablishes a mini caliphate in the fashion of ISIS just before it. So this is a big problem. The project that Turkey seeks to undo is one that was, as I said, organically generated by the people on the ground, where for the first time ever in that part of the world and in history, so we're looking at the geographic dimension and the time dimension, the historical dimension, where they're able to construct a true democracy where there is ethnic, religious pluralism and equality, as well as gender equality, where at every echelon of government that they've put together in northeast Syria includes Christians, Arabs, Kurds, men, women, at every echelon. So it's a really incredible experiment that Turkey seeks to undo. And it makes you ask, you wonder why that is. If Turkey's worried about its domestic well-being, its economy, its robust democracy, you would think having a democracy budding on its front door would be to its benefit. But not if you look at its long-term scheme, and that's the unfortunate part about it. One other thing I'll add about northeast Syria that makes it very unique is the fact that in northeast Syria you have a community of Christians who are some of the first Christians, almost as old as Christianity itself, established shortly after the crucifixion and resurrection of Christ by Saint Thaddeus and others who brought the legacy of Christianity from Antioch. These Christians still speak the Syriac Aramaic language. This is not just any language. This is a language spoken by Christ himself. This is a language that I was raised speaking as well. So it's too important on a historical as well as on a spiritual level. And if it goes in that part of the world, it's extend universally. Whether or not that's Turkey's specific intention, maybe not, but that's certainly the effect, one of the effects. This is a cultural legacy of the world that we all share. This is something that's more than political, it's more than strategic, it's civilizational. So supporting that democracy there is really an important thing for here in the United States because, again, it's a civilizational question. Currently, there are some, let's say, currents or trends within the United States Congress to pull U.S. troops out of northeast Syria, which would be absolutely disastrous for many reasons. Now, one thing I'll say is our presence there is nominal. It's enough to train, equip, and hold the bottom, essentially. One thing that distinguishes this from the endless wars that we as Americans have come to detest, rightfully so, over the last couple of decades, is the fact that in Afghanistan, in Iraq, we're nation building, right? In northeast Syria, we are not nation building. The natives, the people of the land, they're organically developing this democratic project, and successfully so. We're there to hold off the enemies of such a project. So I'll leave it at that. But it's too important to abandon. One, it gives Turkey carte blanche, and two, it abandons a very important budding democracy on the ground.
There's